Hey, Corinne, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jeff Coffin.
How are you?
I am doing great.
Good, good, good.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thanks.
I think the last time we talked was in 2020 at Keb Mo's New Year's party.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you were so sweet. You were so kind, as was Keb Mo, to just make me and Melanie and all the guests really feel so welcome there. I remember you guys were jamming with Melanie, and she just was so happy with the whole experience.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was
Yeah,
a
that was a
very
long.
fun.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it sure was. Yeah, that was seems like an eon ago at this point.
It was literally like a month before the pandemic started.
Right. Right. Yeah. That was the last big party.
That's right.
So where are you these days?
Well, I'm in Oregon,
Hmm.
and I have today is actually the most like important day of my life because we have an actual physical copy of my magazine,
Oh,
National
fantastic.
Sounds.
Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been many years of work leading up to that, and talking to great artists such as yourself, hearing their stories, talking to people that work for the government, and reading, founding documents of our country. And
Hmm.
then, of course, we've had all sorts of very dramatic things happening, having to do with the management of our country recently. So it's been an interesting time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure.
So I made all these notes here because I have to tell you, like straight off, that you have an outstanding resume.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
Thank
I feel like you could get hired anywhere.
you. Maybe Subway, maybe Jimmy John's, or not Starbucks. I won't do Starbucks.
So I, of course, being a part of such monumentally successful music projects like the Dave Matthews Band and Bela Fleck and the Flecktones is like incredible, incredible. But in addition to that, you have this outrageous commitment to helping other artists. And that's really what I find so intriguing about you and your career and your life, because it just seems to be unending how much you engage with other people and help other artists.
Hmm.
And I was just curious, like, is that something that you've always done for other people, or is it something that developed in time as you got your own career started, that you found you were able to help other artists with your success?
I think a little bit of both. Um, I like connecting people, and it's always interesting to me, like how many times I get hit up for someone else's number, because they know that I have it, and so they know that I can connect people in a way that um, is real, that's respectful. I do a lot of jam sessions up here in the studio, and we'll have anywhere from three to, I think the most was like 15 people one time. And sometimes it's people that have just moved into town. Sometimes it's people who have been here for 30 years. And it can have all those people at the same time. So I enjoy the process of connection. And so I think with regards to my label, to Ear Up Records, um, there are a lot of artists in town, number of folks that are on the label, who have really great projects that it's hard to get stuff out there, in a way that can have some kind of visibility in the vast amount of music that's being put out literally every single day. And
Right.
so I kind of look at it as strength in numbers. And I think that the music that I put out on the label, that we put out on the label, um, is very, very high quality, and it's like kind of the catchphrase is music handpicked by musicians.
Yeah,
And so, you know, it makes me feel good to use what success I've had to help others also. And that carries over into the education world, um, um, into the books, into the self-publishing stuff that I've done, of course, into the label, um, helping people, you know, like if my friends need a studio or something, if they need to overdub or they want to record, this is free. It sounds great up here, you know, and there's not a ton of separation, but for certain projects, you don't need that much separation. Or if you want to track stuff, etc. You know, for my buddies, I'm like, it's free if you want to use it. I'm happy to sit here and push buttons. And um, so I feel like, you know, my success um, should benefit the people around me.
that's so cool. That's great. I listened to these CDs that you gave me back in 2020,
Hmm.
and I was really impressed because I put them into my car CD player and I enjoyed like the whole album, and then I listened to another. So
Hmm.
that
Thank you.
really, yeah, that really struck me because I am not someone who um, knows a lot about, this genre.
Hmm.
I do listen to a lot of pop music. I like Americana and I love rock and roll.
Yeah.
I love all forms of music, but I just really, it was actually a sort of a life-changing experience hearing all of this great music from your company.
Oh,
So
thank you.
that, yeah, for sure. You're welcome. I've never forgotten that. And I remember that you handed me this book you had written where you had taken all of these years of experience of making things work for yourself on the road,
Hmm.
and you made a book to help other artists. And you were just so sincere when you gave it to me. I thought, like, you really showed to me that you wanted to help these other people. So I was just curious, do you get response from that book a lot?
Yeah, you know, I've put out a number of books. Some are pedagogical in nature, some are etude books. The most recent one that I did about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago now, was left-handed saxophone etudes. So literally everything being played with the left hand. When I recorded it, I put my right hand here and I recorded just with the left hand this way. And it's improvisational etudes. So the book that you're talking about is called The Road Book. And it's all these different things that you have to consider before you actually leave the driveway. And back in the day before I was really using any assistance, um, you know, whenever I would be going out, I'd be putting all this stuff together myself. I'd be advancing everything. I'd be routing everything. I'd be doing all the hotels. You know, I mean, I'd spend like 16 hours a day at the table working on this stuff. And I remember I woke up in the middle of the night one night with all this information in my head. I just thought, I'm just going to write all this stuff down that I have to do. And I just kept writing and writing and writing. And I remember thinking, wow, this is information that students should know. And anybody that wants to kind of have a career and take a group out on the road, this is really good information. And so I started kind of compiling a book and putting it together and you know, showing some people that said, "Oh, what if you did it in these sections and blah 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 blah." So um, yeah, it's been really good. You know, my students have it, and you know, I bring it when I do clinics. I'm about to do some more clinics at the end of the week. So at this point, I've done over 400 clinics outside of my 11 years at Vanderbilt. So education has been a really big part of what I do, and I love it. You know, I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it, and um, I just like being one on one with the students. Sort of one of my sayings, if you will, is that you know, we're teaching life, but we're using music as the metaphor. And so I think it's the same in anything. So if you're in science, you're still teaching life, but you're using science to get to that,
Mm.
or mathematics, or whatever it may be, gardening, all these different things, dance, you know, et cetera. Um, and so mentoring younger players through the experiences that I've had has been, somewhat of a calling for me. And it's not for everybody. I totally get that. Um, but my undergrad is in music education from North Texas, and I still apply some of the things I learned, um, positive and negative, about teaching. Some of the things that I learned were how not to teach, and so for me, it's an ongoing process. It's very much alive
Mm.
in the sense of um, keeping things fresh within the lessons, trying to sorry, this is falling down here. Trying to stay on top of the progress of the students. So they're all very individualized lessons, but with the books, I can kind of present a general idea about things.
Yeah.
And in all of those things are for my students. They're not for me. I already know how to do them. I already have this information. So this information is for others based on the experiences that I've had, that I want to share with them.
Cool. And on a broader, like, sort of perspective, are there particular human rights campaigns or issues that are calling to you these days?
Yeah, all of them. um, I'm not very optimistic about a lot of things, that are going on in this country, um, and that's unfortunate. But that is truly the way that I feel. Um, you're in Oregon. Uh, the possibility of military coming in to police the cities. They're in Memphis now. They've been in D.C. Um, there's a potential for, um, a lot of abuse with that,
Right.
and to me, it's kind of a precursor of potentially martial law, um, based on information that isn't real, that's being made up in a
Right.
lot of cases. So, I see that. I see a lot of I see a lot of falsehoods, and I see a lot of divide. Um, I feel that we should all be able to make our decisions about our bodies and about who we are and about how we define ourselves. Um, no one gets to me. I don't feel that anyone should have the power to define somebody else. I think that people should have that basic right of saying this is who I am, and I think that's being squelched. I think that there's there's a lot of name calling, on from everybody. It's not just Republicans or Democrats or independents. It's everybody. It's even people who don't vote that are bullying and calling people names, and I don't think that that's a good path. I don't think that that's a kind path. I don't think it's a path that leads to, empathy or compassion or understanding or listening. Um, the word listen contains the best clue that I know on how to become a better listener. And that is when you rearrange the letters, it becomes the word silent,
Mm.
and so I don't think that people are listening. I don't think people are listening, um, to hear. I think they're listening to then respond, um, like the response is already made up in their head,
Right.
and they're just trying to pound it, pound it, pound it. And I see it on anti-social media. Um, I think people should be able to, live a life that, if you're working 40 hours a week, you should be able to pay your bills. The minimum wage is awful. 7.25 an hour hasn't been changed since what, like the 1980s. Um, It's been 30 years anyway since it's been changed,
Oh,
more than that. And so I think that things like healthcare, I think that that should be a right. People in government have government sponsored healthcare that they have the rest of their lives. And so give everybody that, you know?
yeah. That makes
And
a lot of
so
sense.
I think that there's a lot of basic human, and that's just in this country, never mind what's going on over in the Middle East or the Ukraine or in Africa. There's so many places that people are being compromised.
Wow.
And um, so, I try to stay aware of certain things. I don't want to bury my head. Sometimes I do actually want to bury my head. Um, but I think it's important that we know what's going on. And I always find myself on the side of the underdog. And, you know, I wish that, I mean, what happened to Charlie Kirk was awful. It's terrible,
Right.
heinous act. Um, I wish people cared as much when children get shot as they did when he got shot.
Whoa, that's a powerful statement.
We don't see people filling arenas, when children get shot.
Yeah.
And there's been over 320 mass shootings this year. I think that people have a right to live in peace. And if guns truly make us safer, with over 700 million guns in this country, there's like 2.3, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 guns for every man, woman, and child in the U.S.
Wow.
And so if the argument is that guns make us safer, shouldn't we be the safest country ever in the history of the world? I would say with over 320 mass shootings this year, that's not the case.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you.
And so for me, as a musician, I feel that the arts and politics have always been interwoven.
Yeah.
I mean, since the time of Bach, since the time of basically, recorded music, not like recorded music, but, when people were writing stuff down, it's always been involved with the politics of the day.
Yeah.
And, the platform that we have with social media, again, anti-social media, as I call it, um, gives everyone an opportunity to voice their thoughts and their opinions. And I think the thing that bothers me the most, well, the two things, is not the disagreements. It's it's the name calling. It's the absolute lack of empathy and compassion, um, and the bitterness, the bullying, all these things. I have many times said, you're all welcome on my pages to post what you'd like. Please don't call each other names.
Yeah.
Please keep it civil. And if you tell me to shut up and play, I'm going to block you. That's my boundary. Or if they start calling me names, I just block. You know, I don't want to do that, but that is my boundary, and I stick with it because, again, I have to deal with my own mental health too.
Yeah, totally. You
And
got to.
so I think that we should be free to express ourselves without fear of retribution. Um, um, so I think there's a lot of human rights issues that are going on.
Yeah.
When Obama said, "Hey, we need to talk about race," and people are like, "Oh no, no, we don't need to talk about race." It's very obvious that we do need to talk about race and the things that are going on. Um, I mean, it's every day. It feels like another storm that's come in, and um, this certainly isn't uh, reflective of what I would consider to be a progressive agenda for this country.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I get that. I want to catch up with your music company because I feel like a lot of this also has to do with freedom of speech and, media outlets and ways that people can interact with each other so it doesn't get so heated, because it's sort of
Mm,
like a lot of pent up non-communication. And there is a definite lessening in radio access since 1996 with the Telecommunications Act, which basically enabled, a few companies to own all the radio stations.
mhm.
Was really interested in your music company. Have you dealt with the Music Modernization Act impacting your income and specifically like the Music Modernization Act enables any use of a musical recording once it has been released at a price set by a circle of three judges in the United States Copyright Office. And it's actually the legislation that was ramrodded through Congress in just a few months in 2018, and that's why we have no more arguments. We don't think about the strange fact that streaming has basically wiped out the economy of music and
Mm.
in a major way. We used to have to buy, I have my devices, I used to have to buy songs for $1.29 a piece. Now
Right.
we don't have to spend all that money. So I just was curious if you had any impact in your day-to-day life with your music company because of streaming.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing is that technology doesn't move backwards. And we're dealing with streaming. Now we're dealing with AI and streaming also, which is another conversation. But yeah, I mean, especially in the world of instrumental music, it's very, very, very difficult for people to make any money whatsoever.
Wow.
Um, Depending on which playlist you're getting on, which is a whole other conversation also, the challenge of that, um, with things like administration companies and all that, um, that's a real challenge too. Because again, there's so much music being produced every single day. How do you weed through it? How do you get your voice out there?
Right.
And I use a publicist. I use Lydia Liebman.
Yeah.
She's
I saw her
amazing,
website. It's
and
gorgeous. It's beautiful.
yeah, she's incredible. She's
Yeah.
incredible. Um, but the money that I spend on her, and then on radio, I use Groove Marketing for my radio.
Okay.
Um, I'm not going to make that money back streaming on Spotify or any of the others. Um, Sync licensing is something that I'm starting to get into. Um, there's a website to upload stuff into called Disco that all artists should have their stuff in, because that's sort of the one-stop shopping place that people who are looking for music for sync licensing, that's where they go to find it. But then how do you get them to look at your stuff? There are all these different processes that are there. And when I started my label, I think it was in 2012, I just wanted to have a place to get music out. I'm not trying to um, my label. I'm not trying to make money on my label. You know, um, I'm hoping that the people that are on there, can make something, um, whether it's through selling CDs or drawing people to, Bandcamp or wherever it is that they're selling their music. Um, but this is not a money making venture for me. If I can break even, I'd be like, that's great. And but I want it to be a place where really great music comes out. Last year, we were voted the best label in Nashville,
Wow. Awesome.
which was kind of shocking to me, quite honestly. And but
The
I appreciated it.
music is so great.
I think the music on there is really great. I do. We have two new releases coming up this year. One from a West African drummer named Ibro Diabate that we recorded here, and another one from a drummer named Rakalam Bob Moses,
Mm.
who played with Pat Metheny and Gary Burton and everybody, Russ on Roland Kirk, etc. And I'm on both of those records. The Rakalam record is Rakalam and me with a group of musicians. Um, um, and I've got 3 releases already set for next year, plus more stuff that's already being recorded. Um,
Very cool. And you have three, don't you have three records that you have put out this year so far? 2025?
I think so.
Like Wild Iris. I was just making some notes
Yeah, the
here.
Wild Iris came out, and then there's a couple that I'm postponing till next year, just because I'm moving some stuff around internally
Okay.
in Europe. So those will start coming out in March. Um,
And
but there's a lot of stuff.
new jazz, right? Jeff Coffin
Oh,
and
the New Gurus, right? That came out
yeah,
earlier on.
very cool.
And, that was a record we recorded actually during the pandemic, with a bunch of the younger musicians here in town that are now like just killing it.
Wow.
And um, so, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff.
Very
Uh,
cool.
we have the Nashville Jazz Festival coming up also in October, the 25th and 26th, at a club called Third and Lindsley, and a number of the musicians that are on the label will be involved with that. And Ear Up is helping sponsor that as well, as many other folks are too.
Very cool.
But again, my success with through the Flecktones and Dave Matthews, it's again, I want it to benefit the community. I want it to benefit the people that I work with, and um, players that are trying to get out there and make a difference.
Very cool.
So, I've been fortunate to have a really great career and to have made smart decisions financially. Um, I don't own a bunch of boats or, super fancy car or anything like that. Um, and I work my tail off. I still do.
Yeah,
I
I
still
see that. I see that.
work, um, and so again, those things I want to benefit people that I care about and causes that I care about.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
I'm
Jeff,
not trying to like squirrel away all the nuts.
I see that, and I think it's so inspirational. It's very, very rare. It's really special. I see we just have like 2 minutes, and I wanted to tell you congratulations on being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, that was a fun experience to have family and friends there and to be part of that. And we actually just visited it in Cleveland with my wife's family. They were in town.
Very
So we
cool.
went to Cleveland, they wanted to see it and see the horn. Her parents' names are also engraved on the instrument. And
Very cool.
yeah, it was pretty
Well,
great. It was pretty great.
today is the International Day of Music, so you have to treat yourself in some way,
That's right.
some
That's
sort of
right.
reward for all your hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, just thank you so much for what you're doing. I mean, it's amazing to interact with an artist of your caliber and see all of this work you're doing to help the whole industry.
No, well, thank you. Thank you. I hope it does make a difference. You know, I'm working hard at it, and I hope it benefits people, and I hope people enjoy the music, and they enjoy the shows. But also that they enjoy the conversations that we can have, and that just because we disagree, doesn't mean that we don't have common ground. And I think that the power of music can help to heal and to help carry us through, and can really make a beautiful difference in our lives.
Very cool. Well, I wish we had more time because I made all these notes, but we'll have to have another interview.
Sure, let's do another one sometime. That'd be great. That'd
Thanks
be
a lot,
great.
Jeff.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Bye bye.